from a very early age, I was able to read people. So I was able to look at people. Even when I saw my mum talking to her sisters, I would see colours. I would see energies moving between them. When they were gossiping about one sister, I would see red around around the person who was gossiping. And as soon as that person came back into the room, you see like green and blue energy, where they're kind of shifting their vibration from one of being critical to one of being loving. And that kind of confused me a little bit, because I didn't understand why people's energy imprints weren't congruent with their actual actions. So what the actions that they were portraying, what I was seeing through understanding their energy, it wasn't congruent, and that for me was a bit confusing. But I learned very early that in this world, that people wanted you to lie to them, they didn't really want to know the truth, and that created a sort of regression within me, where I stood back and just felt that my purpose was to observe and support my family and those around me, and to not really push my level of consciousness onto people. So I became the healer of the family. What prompted me to want to go into healing in this way was that when my mum was 30, she was diagnosed with fibroids. And my mum is one out of 6 sisters, and now every single one, apart from 2 of those sisters, every one of them has had their womb taken out. And at the age of 30, my mum had her womb taken out without any understanding of the different layers of healing that needs to take place in order for us to heal our body. She was just told by the doctors that her womb was no good and that she needed it to be taken out, and she follows that. And something about that didn't sit well within my spirit. My great-grandmother, who I spoke of before, her name is Grandmother Melanie. I've never met her, but she is the one that gives me my rituals. She is the one that showed me this path of spiritual practice through my dreams, through my visions. And I realized from speaking to her and connecting with her that part of my path was to bring back some of the old traditions that she had used, that she wasn't able to continue to teach her own children because of the different things that were taking place in her community, so that I can bring it back, number one, to heal my family, first and foremost. And that is what I sought about doing. So connecting with her spiritually, and then doing different courses in homeopathy, shamanic homeopathy. I went and studied at the College of Psychic Studies in London, and then also went to Jamaica to the fire waters to do my initiation, to learn how to heal people with the fire water, learn how to do rituals and things like that, and be initiated into the order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek is the high priest within our lineage who holds that spiritual knowledge and power, and many of the people from our culture are initiated into that lineage. Also, with my Ghanaian background, my ancestors were the Akan. So I have been to Ghana as well. Last year, this time, I was there leading rituals in all of the slave castles for people that have come from the diaspora. But real life rituals, tuning into the energy of the ancestral energy that's already there, so that we can feel their story rather than people telling us. So it becomes an experience that we connect with. And I'll be doing that again next year with the Calabash Hub. So I have been around the world doing different things. I've also been to Egypt, where I've had my own spiritual experiences with guards being possessed and all different kinds of things happening whilst I was there, to help me to confirm what I was already receiving in spirit in my reality, to help set me on my path. But as you know, within this realm there's a lot of conflict, and we're not encouraged to really tune into who we really are. So for a little while I spent a lot of time trying to be like, everybody else, and trying to fit in. That didn't work very well for me. So it then became important to me to stay true to who I was, realizing that who I was needed in this planet, just to help support other people in being true to themselves as well. I am versed in Reiki, I teach Reiki, I'm a master healer. I've also brought through a healing modality that was used in ancient Egypt called Ra Ma'ati Sekem. So when we talk about the pyramids and how the pyramids moved and those kind of things, we're looking at sound and the power of sound and vibration. And the knowledge that's coming through from our ancestors is re-gifting us with the same greatness that we had back in that day. But the reason that we had to go through this great separation, especially coming out of the age of Pisces, was for us to learn humility. If you are the greatest, you must also know the opposite of greatness. You must know what it's like to not be great. You must know what it's like to be the bottom of the pool. And can you still see yourself as worthy? Can you still see yourself as valuable? Because then you understand that it's not about hierarchy, it's just about order. And that within that order, every single one of you has the potent power to be the number one and to be the bottom. So that's the age that we're coming out of right now, which is why we're being gifted back with our spiritual gifts, our healing arts, our spiritual practice, because that is what ultimately informs our lives. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be talking about, the importance of spiritual health and well-being, and why it was so important for our ancestors as well. Ooh, sorry. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so what is holistic health? Are we all aware of the term holistic health? Okay, so the understanding of holistic health. Holistic medicine is a form of healing that considers the whole person. So body, mind, spirit, and emotions in the quest for optimal health and wellness. So originally, and I say originally, but I'm talking post-enlightenment, because before the enlightenment, women were the healers, and it was okay for women to be the healers. But then that power to heal equated to power to control, to the masculine energies. And when the time of the burning of the witches and all of those kind of things, there was a changeover in power from matriarchal energy, power rule to that of patriarchy power rule. When patriarchy power rule came in place, women were stopped from being able to learn medicine. They were only allowed to do certain aspects of healing, which then made it a very male-dominant practice. So from that perspective, if we understand the male dominant or the masculine energy, it works on an outward basis. It's logical, and it doesn't kind of buy into the subtle realms or the feminine aspects, which are understanding emotions, which are understanding the root causes of things. So allopathic medicine sought to only deal with the symptoms of conditions, not understanding and taking into consideration the fact that things manifest on a spiritual level first, then a mental, then an emotional level, before they actually become manifest in the physical body. And without that understanding of how illness develops, we are treating symptoms but not really treating the root of them. But we also need to understand that our souls choose everything that we experience. So any illness that you do have, it's the root of it is where the power is for you. Because once you clear that, once you understand what is going wrong, that then helps you to turn your pain into your purpose. You empower yourself and you learn how to realign yourself through that process of healing yourself, and therefore allow you gain skills to support other people through the same thing. So that's how you turn your pain into your power. So when we're looking at it from a holistic perspective, as I said, we're looking at it from the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical aspect. So, for instance, let's say if we have somebody who has cancer, if we look at where the cancer is in the body, we'll understand what the issue is. So I have a few recent clients who have got Hodgkin's and lymphoma cancer, and some of them are having the lumps in underneath their arms, and I had another one who had them at the back of her legs. So the first thing I asked her was, are you somebody that represses your feelings a lot? And she said yes. And I said, okay, because your lymph nodes are where you release toxins. So if you've got a condition which is affecting your lymph nodes, it means that you're not releasing things. Now, that might not necessarily just mean you may have grown up in a family where your mother never released things. We weren't allowed to talk and speak to each other about things. So that goes into your morphogenic field, or basically your aura, or into your DNA, because our DNA is sound. It's sound. So if we repeat experiences, if we repeat thoughts and things in our head, it actually affects our DNA. That's how potent it is. So illness then can manifest from our mothers, from our great grandmothers. But we have chosen them as souls to bring those illnesses into our body, because through our experience of it, having been an evolution from our parents, we can then get the healing necessary, which will then not free only us, but free them as well. Okay, that's how the energy shifts, and that's how the energy moves. So looking at it from a holistic perspective helps you to understand the nature of what the ailment is, so then you can then identify what needs to be released in you. Cancer is an aggressive condition as well, and it's a condition which then masks itself around your other cells. It takes over. So sometimes it can be due to aggressive natures within ourselves, or if we've had people around us during our childhood who are very aggressive and dominant, then we can develop those kind of illnesses. When we start to target it from that level of consciousness, then we're more able and more equipped to heal the illness. Not saying that we don't also need to feed the body and heal the body, because using frankincense, when you've got cancer, actually helps to detoxify and reprogram the individual cells, helping them to grow fresh cells, so basically ridding your system of that cancer. But also, if you're doing the mental and emotional work as well, then you're getting the understanding and learning from that illness and helping to shift that energy in all levels of space and time. Is that making sense to you? Are we feeling this? Yeah? Okay, great. Holistic health is actually an approach to life. So rather than focusing on the illness or specific parts of the body, this ancient approach to health considers the whole person and how he or she interacts with his or her environment. It emphasizes the connection of the mind, body, and spirit. The goal is to achieve maximum well-being, where everything is functioning in the very best that is possible. I was watching Doctor Strange yesterday, and I love that kind of stuff, because they're bringing more of our ancient knowledge into our collective consciousness, but doing it through films and stuff, so that they can still have have a sort of level of control as to how we receive this stuff. But there was the guy who's come, and this is a doctor who's fixed very much in the whole physical world, and he's lost the use of his hands, so he has to go to see a guru in order to get some help. And he asked the guru, you know, how are you going to help me? And he said that a spiritual healer basically realigns your spirit so that it can better heal your body. Okay, that was a powerful statement for me because it helped to just encapsulate what it is that I do, but also working from all of these different levels. So as a holistic healer, you're working on all of those different levels. So you're aligning the person's emotions for them to really be able to understand the trauma that they experienced with their sexual abuse when they was a child. Why did their soul choose that? How is that going to help them to reach their soul lessons, and how is that going to help them to be a support to humanity? The things that we go through are not a burden and a curse to us. On a higher level, we've chosen them, but we had to desensitize ourselves in order for us to have the experience. Just imagine if you write a story, and in this story you write, okay, I'm going to be 5 years old and I'm going to be sexually abused, but when I'm 30, I'm going to be helping people who have been raped. You're not necessarily going to want to consciously go through that experience. But what happens is we become, it's called an amnesia, so we become desensitized and we actually come into the matrix. The matrix is where we now live out that story that we have created. That's why sometimes when you meet certain people, you just feel instantly drawn to them. You don't know why. Because you're a part of the same soul group. You have chosen to be a support in each other's lives, to help each other, to create this fabric and this story so that you can reach your life purpose. All of us that have chosen to manifest on this planet at this time are here because we are moving into a different level of consciousness. We're coming out of the past experience, which was the age of Pisces, which was depicted by the Jesus story, which was all about our disconnection from source. Pisces is two fish that separate, and that whole time was about us going and praying through Jesus or praying through Allah or praying through any other intermediary for us to connect with that which we are, which is an illusion in itself. So we're going out of that experience of being disconnected, being separate, to now moving into the understanding that we are all one and that we're connected to the higher aspects of ourselves and that there is no separation. So we're moving into the next stage, which is unity consciousness. Okay, is this resonating with you? If there's any questions that you want to ask, please do ask me. I'm in a space right now just because I've been going through a transition in myself. I spent a lot of time doubting myself. I spent a lot of time, and Spirit just kept on showing me that, confirming everything that I was experiencing, whether it was with people, whether it was through my own journey. So now I'm in a place where I've kind of gone through a little initiation with myself, where I'm no longer unapologetic about who I am. I realize if I don't be who I am, then I can't do my purpose. So those who understand and resonate with what I'm saying will feel it, and those who don't, then it's just maybe not for them, and I'm cool with that. But I'm just sharing with you from a place of peaceful personal power. So anything that you have to ask, please do ask. I will tune into what energies that the most high's energy, so that I can answer your question in the best way that I can. And if not, then it prompts a journey of discovery in your own self. So just by you asking that question, the information will find its way to you. Okay? You will hear me do that all the time because I am a sound being. So sound shifts energy, and you'll see that when we do our little chanting. You'll see how it works. But that's my way of just raising my vibration instantly and tuning into source. I feed off the energy that's in everything. That's what allows me to do the work that I'm doing. So we can all do that. We are sentient beings. So it's from that place of me just being in my space, I lead by example. Does that make sense? Great. So this is the holistic health model. As you can see, all of the different aspects are connected and have an impact on each other. So let's break it down a little bit. How many people go to the gym in here? Okay, but you've been trying to go to the gym, or you know you've got to get your body in shape. Right. There's a reason why it's bored. It's boring.
Francia.
Sorry. No disrespect whatsoever.
No.
So physical health. We are all kind of shown the importance of keeping our body temple healthy, you know. Even nowadays, look at the food that we are eating. If you've seen the plastic rice, really check it out, because I was going to say this earlier, like Rastafari and certain things, certain of our cultures, our little uprisings, they showed us these things were going to happen. They said to us we need to start eating from the land. They said that we start have to live, you know, in a conscious way, and we're only now catching up to that. So we've always had the knowledge and the wisdom that's come from the spiritual realms, you know, to show us that we are move whatever realm, whatever experience we're moving into, we have had that guidance. But through that disconnection and that ignorance, that false ignorance that we've been gifted with, we kind of turn away from it. But we're in a time of awakening now. You can't get away from the fact that we are starting to tune into who we are. And that's about a shift, but also so that we can learn to come from a holistic perspective. So even if we are in a place of power, that we don't see anything outside of us as less of ourselves. So we're always in that balance of one. Okay, so back to the physical body. Taking over our physical temple, the spirit manifests within the body. The body is energy. Energy transforms. Energy can never die. Spirit is energy and spirit is consciousness, but energy itself transforms. So as much as this looks dense to you, this is actually made up of energy. And you can shape shift. You can shift yourself. You know about biolocation and all those kind of things. The only reason why we haven't been able to do it now is because we're dense. Why are we dense? Because we have dense emotions, negative thoughts, food that is set to kill us, and we don't meditate enough, we don't tune into our soul consciousness enough. So that keeps us dense to this 3D dimensional world. Even though there's so much more going on that we cannot see, the reason for that is because we are so dense. So the more that we choose to lighten ourselves, as I said, choosing to deal with your issues, you know, that helps to lighten your vibration so that you won't never have to experience that again. And then especially us women, as our wombs, I've been having a lot of fibroids and all these things, because we need to clear that center. That's where all the trauma from slavery, from all of the abuse, from all of the mothers who had their kids taken away from them, even the black woman from the beginning of creation, all of that energy is within us. So we're clearing that now, because the new souls that are going to come through are going to be free of that experience. And that's why you can see it's reaching fever pitch in our consciousness. If you look on the news, if you look on everything is coming to a fore. The part of our reality that we want to hide away from or act like it's not there is now right in our face, so that we can be in a place to stand in front of it, confront it, but also acknowledge that it's part of us. So once we choose to negate that part of ourselves, and I don't mean negate as in get rid of it, because it's not about getting rid of anything. It's about understanding, gaining mastery, gaining power, so that then we can create a better reality from the inside. But what we're seeing in our world right now are all the uglies, all of the underbelly of us as humans that we're not willing to stand up for, that we're not willing to, you know, readdress. And those are the same things that we find within ourselves first. So when we start to heal ourselves, then essentially we'll heal our communities and heal our world, and that's where you'll see the change. Not about fighting what is already there, because what is already there is a manifestation of what's within us that we're not being real about. So bring it back to the physical body. Our physical body is what carries us through this reality, so we have to look after it. But we also have to know that the spirit informs the body. So without dealing with your spiritual health and well-being, you will find it difficult to be able to deal with certain illnesses or certain energy that's trapped within the body. Mental health. I saw a documentary on BBC. How many of you did you see it? I think it was Black and Mad. Yeah. And it said that we're 17 times more likely to be sectioned, and that's without assessment. Without assessment. And when asked why, they said it's because they fear the power of us. Now, so really check it. We're going mad because we've been told that our power is negative, and you want to lock us up because of that same power. Do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense, and that alone will give you mental health problems. It's true. If you've got people constantly persecuting your ancestry, constantly persecuting who you are, if you're walking around in everyday life and you know people treating you a certain way, but you act like it's not happening, is that not going to cause you mental health problems? Okay, so that's where we have to take responsibility and understand that there has been a certain genocide or attack placed on us, but once we wake up out of that illusion, then we have the power to change that. But first we have to be real. And that's what we've got a problem with in our community, being real. And I'm in that space right now, as I was trying to say to you. I'm just in that space of being myself and being real. Because all of these plastic things, these plastic marks that we've got, they have not served us yet, have they? You know, we need to get more close to each other and be more real. And don't be afraid to be who we are. That's going to be number one thing to stop in mental health. Because if you don't know who you are, if you're not comfortable with who you are, then you're going to have a problem from the off. You know, and this is something, post-traumatic slave syndrome is rife in our community. We don't talk about things. We're always trying to hide things, or, you know, we don't have our systems in place. You know, in our cultures, there would be a team of elders, and those elders will be made up of the shaman, the grandmother, whoever, and anything that's going wrong with us, we will be brought to them. They would tune in spiritually and find out, okay, is there a spiritual attack going on? Is there a lesson going on? Is there an emotional thing? They would be there to support us. So in our madness, you know, we're not carted off to some hospital and people just come and bring us meals every 2 weeks. We're actually brought to the elders, and we are helped to navigate through that illness, so that it's not an illness, it becomes an initiation.
Why is the elders not stepping up? Because that's one of the big questions that I have to ask. That we're living here and we've got children murdering each other, and it's not by accident. So
Yes.
it's not, as we know, this is part of the plan.
Yes.
So we've got children murdering each other, but we don't have any ancestors, any elders stepping up and saying, look, this is what needs to happen. Somebody needs to take the lead from someone, and there's no one leading anybody.
No.
So this is where we're this massive problem.
Definitely.
Sis, I'm not sure I agree with you, because
Yeah.
I'm going to say Manchester. I certainly have stepped
I'm
up.
in London,
Well,
babes.
well, I'm going to be here now.
Yeah.
Yes, and I stepped up. And what happens is,
Mm.
when you step up,
Mm.
people don't want to recognise the system
Yes.
in place.
Yeah, but when they
Or,
step up,
and they become very negative towards you, because they're saying they don't want their business discussed. Who are you? We're good at saying what we want, but we're not good at
Receiving.
practicing.
Not good
We're
at
not good at
receiving.
practicing.
No,
We
I
won't
haven't
stand up
seen
and
any of that.
count it.
I'm in London, alright?
So-
And I've not seen that, babe.
Well,
So
I certainly
I'm
know
not-
those
I
discussions
salute
have
you.
been going on. I'm not the only one.
Okay.
Where people have stepped forward and turned around and said, look, these issues are happening in our community, what we're going to do about it. And then when you start to probe and start to work on the issue, people get scared and they step back.
because they try to,
Yeah.
anybody that we've had as leaders, the elders, have either shot them, anybody that rise up against them, so we can follow like from America, Malcolm X and all them people, either put them in prison like Mandela, or they erase them. So we have no leaders. We keep getting lost.
But
Like we got lost in the desert.
how can you say that we have no leaders? I will not subscribe to that, because as far as I'm concerned, everybody in this room is a leader. Because in order to deal with your own spiritual development, you first have to acknowledge within yourself that you're the person
Well, I
that
just
can
said
make the
we were lost
change.
in the desert, we're still lost.
Oh well, I wouldn't want to
If you're doing
say
this
I'm lost.
if you're doing this in Manchester, I salute you. But what
I-
I'm
but
saying
I'm
in
not the
London,
only one. That sister's doing her piece.
And where are
Other
you?
sisters are here.
right? So you guys are in Manchester. This is I don't come to Manchester.
Oh, sorry. No, I just wanted to
reiterate
Good
that
back.
point. Something I was watching on a brief film from a Bannerman. I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Bannerman. And he was saying exactly the same thing, that you yourself
Yes, I
have
have
to
that.
recognise yourself as being your own leader.
That's
And
it.
that's the point. We can't
Yes.
keep looking
Looking
on the
outside of
outside,
ourselves
and
instead
then
of
you are talking
internal
about talking about the power that we have within ourselves. The
Absolutely.
change starts with you.
Yes.
That's where it starts.
No, thank you for that, because that's exactly what when I asked that question, in spirit, God said to me, and I say God because I'm in the divine presence,
Yeah.
that number one, this is not the time of the Messiah, this is the time of many. Okay, number one. Number two, out of the mouths of babes and sucklings.
Absolutely.
And you are once a man, twice a child. So it's the elders and the children who will bring forth that knowledge, because they're in that space to receive. Anybody in the middle of that is in the space of action and doing, so they can't necessarily receive. And as I said, once you take responsibility for your own journey, then you become a leader, but you also become a student and a teacher through that humility. And it's about each one of us doing the work. Yes, we need the elders who are in the community who say, hang on, hold that. Do you know what I mean? Hold up on that. And we need the parents to support as well, because we want to then fight the elders and showing the kids that they need to respect, but then we're fighting each other. We have to take personal responsibility for this. We have to be willing to listen to the children that come, because they are the ancestors revisiting, but we also must listen to the elders. But don't forget, it was a deliberate genocide. During the Industrial Revolution, what did they do? They dissipated all of the families. They've got us living in single-parent families because the government will allow us, and they'll give us our benefits. If they don't, if we say that we're in a relationship, then we get scrutinized. So all of these things have been deliberate attacks, and they were outlined in the Willie Lynch letter as well, but they're deliberate attacks to keep us in a place of disenfranchisation and separation. So even our elders, where are they? They're in homes, yeah? So, you know, we have also given away our revolution. We've given away our revolution, and that's why we have to turn it inwards, and we all have to take an individual responsibility to clearing up our own backyard, and also to sharing that knowledge and wisdom and that love with each other. We've got to learn to forgive each other as well, because we don't forgive each other, and we're always judging and criticizing each other, not realizing that we're only as strong as our weakest link. And if we understand and really embody and really understand the deliberate genocide that was taking place. Don't forget the man said that if they continue slavery for 400 years, it will continue for another 400 years. We ain't even done the 400 years yet.